super excited for this particular session because what we've tried to do is we've tried to get people that I believe are some of the leaders in short-term rentals in the US. And this is not at the exclusion of other people. We all know hundreds of great people, but this particular group of people are real leaders and people that are out there doing it. And ever since I started in this particular space, I've been watching their growth. I've been watching what they're doing, and they are real people that you want to follow and make sure that you keep up with what they're doing and learn from. And that's the biggest thing. All of these people here are teaching. They share, they collaborate. They're always saying, hey, how can I contribute and how can I give? And that's why when I asked them to join, every single one of them said, yes, what do I need to do? And there was never a question of what's in it for me. It's how do we make this thing happen and how do we collaborate? So I don't know if all of our panelists know each other, but this is a great opportunity for them to get to know each other. But also, if you are watching this and if you have questions, then I do encourage you to ask. Now, I'm the only moderator here, so bear with me. What I'd like you to do, if you are in the chat, if you could just post up a message, say, hey, this is blah, I am from this particular place, and tell us what you do in the short-term rental space. We would really love to know. Then if you've got questions as we go, please just shoot them through to me as a private message and I will address them as we go. I don't promise I'll get to all of them, but I will get to them as we go through. Now, folks, welcome to the STR Legends Live session. We're going to be talking about trends. We're going to be talking about tips, tricks. We're going to be talking about marketing, technology, growth, and business. I've got 5 amazing guests who are joining us, and I'm going to ask our guests to introduce themselves, and we've got 4 now with Dennis, who's just disappeared on me, but that's okay. I'm going to ask everyone to introduce yourselves. I'll let everybody know who you are, what you do, and where you're from, and we can kind of kick off the session from there. I'm going to start off from Stacey, and then if you guys want to take it in turns, that would be awesome.
Hey, everybody. My name is Stacey St. John, and I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, here in the U.S. The vast majority of my short-term rental portfolio is actually in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I know, Alex, we need to do lunch sometime.
Right? Yeah.
But, one of my favorite things about being in this industry is not only helping, vacationers make memories while they're at the beach or relaxing in the foothills of Ohio, but I think even more rewarding is having the opportunity to serve women in this space. And so I have kind of a family of brands that is solely dedicated on helping women launch, manage, and grow successful short-term rental businesses. And Bart, I just appreciate you having me. Thanks for the invite.
Stacey just put together an event. The name of it was
the Short-Term Rental Virtual Summit for Women.
It was one of the most impressive virtual events that I've ever been to. The platform was amazing. The speakers were amazing. The community was absolutely stunning. That's one of the main reasons I really wanted you to be here, because you lead by building communities and by building groups of people and teaching them and sharing that information. So congratulations on that event. You should be super proud, especially with everybody's fatigue from live events, but you pulled it off. So congratulations and well done.
Thank you.
Brooke.
All right. Excited to be here, Bart. Thanks for putting this on. Yeah, my name is Brooke Pfautz. I'm founder and CEO of Vintory. I'm located here in Baltimore, Maryland. Just got in literally about an hour or two ago. I was visiting a partner up in Killington, Vermont. But yeah, so Vintory, we're a sales and marketing platform. We help short-term vacation rental managers grow their inventory. That's all we do. So been in this industry for about 15 years. Got into it like most of us, just kind of stumbled into it. I was actually in mortgage banking, but I founded a company back in 2007 called Vantage Resort Realty. I grew that company from 0 to 500 properties in 5 years and wrote a little book about it that you may have heard about, Bart. But yeah, I exited that business and I've held several other leadership roles within the industry since, most revolving around inventory acquisition. And about 4 years ago, I founded Vintory, and we're excited to say we've helped over 500 companies with their inventory growth efforts. And we have a team of over 60 growth experts focused on one thing and one thing only, and that's growing their inventory. So yeah, really excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Bart.
Brooke's presence here is one, giving, someone that wants to educate people and just help people. I had the absolute privilege of attending one of his masterminds, or his mastermind in the US before the VRMA, and I'm like, why are you putting this on? He's like, I just want to help people and I want to help my partners. And that was the similar vibe to Stacey in the room. And the great thing with Brooke is that he's not only short-term rental, but also technology and marketing. So this kind of confluence of skill sets that are super useful to you if you're looking to grow your business and expand. And he's going to be thinking about things in a completely different way to all the rest of our panelists. So thanks for being here. Alex, kick us off.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bart, for having me here. I know I was so excited to finally get to meet you in Vegas last fall at VRMA International, and we've talked about doing some things. So as soon as I saw this invite, I was very quick to say yes, and appreciate being on this panel with such an awesome group of people too, and everybody who's here. So my name is Alex Husner. I live in Myrtle Beach, where Stacey has all her properties, and Bart, I don't know if this was on purpose, but yes, I have wanted to meet Stacey and get to know her better. I've kind of just admired her from afar, so we will definitely need to connect. But it's Myrtle Beach. I've been here for 15 years. I am now with Casago as Chief Marketing Officer. I was previously here in the Myrtle Beach area for 13 years with Condo World, and grew that business from 150 units to 500. And we were a 95% book direct business, and had an OTA, and we were a budding franchise model. And I was always extremely interested in how somebody could make franchise into a model within short-term rentals. And when I met Ryan Dame, who's one of the partners of Casago, it was literally about a year ago right now, and I heard what they were doing. It was extremely interesting to me. And over the last year, just continued that conversation, and came on and started working with them last fall. And now just a few months into it, but really learning all the benefits of, how economies of scale can really grow short-term rental businesses. Our phrase is compete nationally, win locally. And we really feel that the local ownership of businesses is how businesses stay successful in this industry, how destinations stay successful. They keep their seats at the table from a regulation standpoint and from a tourism board standpoint that way. So but new in this journey and in this role with this t-shirt, but enjoying it very, very much so far. And also I'm host of Alex and Annie Real Women of Vacation Rentals podcast that we've been doing with my co-host Annie Holcomb for the past year. And that's just been an incredible way to grow and make connections within this industry. So thank you, Bart.
Look, I think your journey is very impressive. I think that everything that you've done for short-term rentals and everything that you seem to touch seems to turn to gold. And I'm not just trying to play with your ego or anything here. Like literally, there's just so much success, and you can see it, right? You seem to do so well, and I think that you're the Chief Marketing Officer at Casago now. So I imagine that like you said, you've got the new challenge of dealing with a much bigger company now and trying to find the strategies to growth. So I'm really looking forward to asking you some questions about 2023, because that's going to be awesome. Richie. Good morning.
Hi, everyone. My name's Richie. I'm one of the founders at PriceLabs. I'm coming to you live today from India. So if I fumble, it's because I just woke up, if you've missed that. Like I said, I'm a founder at PriceLabs. We do dynamic pricing for vacation rentals. We've been doing this since 2014, so about 8 years now. Still feel a little bit like an outsider to vacation rental world, because personally, unlike Stacey, Alex, Dennis, Brooke, I don't have as much experience running a vacation rental other than my own individual bedroom when we started, putting an extra bedroom. If you remember the old days of Airbnb, right? Putting your shared bedroom or private bedroom online. That's kind of how I started. And then I do occasionally host, but do not have as much expertise as some of the people here. But what we do is we do dynamic pricing. We adjust rates based on supply and demand. We've been doing this for 8 years. Like I said, we've been we've been working in 100 plus countries today. We have little over 200,000 properties that use PriceLabs actively, a little over 25,000 customers that use PriceLabs actively. And then apart from dynamic pricing, over the last 2 years, we've also come out with 2 new products, which is Market Dashboards and Portfolio Analytics. Market Dashboards helps you track what's happening in various markets around the world. And Portfolio Analytics helps you come up with business intelligence for your own reservation data so that you can better understand what kind of patterns are recurring or happening in your own data. So that's me. Looking forward to being on this panel, looking forward to being with every single person on this call is amazing. I do recognize my fellow panelists, but even the guests that are on this call, I recognize some names and have seen you around. So really looking forward to everything today.
The background to this, folks, is when you're trying to get this many panelists together, is you need to find a schedule or a time that's going to work for everyone. And we knew that someone was going to have to take a bit of a hit, and that was Richie today. So thank you so much, mate. And your journey is also very impressive as well. PriceLabs has absolutely revolutionized short-term rentals. They were one of the first ones to do it, especially at the scale that they're doing it. If you don't have dynamic pricing, everybody talks about it, everybody knows about it, and once again, the very impressive thing about Richie is that he's also someone that will get up, talk, he will help you out, and he's always front foot forward in that way. Thank you, Richie. And Dennis, our final panelist.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Excited to be here. I'm Dennis, born and raised in Belgium, Europe. Before moving to the US, I had an online printing company. So we did something similar than Vistaprint does here in the US, sold that company 2013. My goal moving to the US, to Orlando, was to get better weather and to slow down. And I thought property management was a good idea. Sounded easy enough. Sitting at the pool all day with a cocktail, waiting until someone needed me, and probably the biggest mistake of my life. So after a few months, I told my wife, like, yeah, this is just so hard, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I've run businesses with 100, 150 people before. There's only 2 options. We either scale this business so we can hire staff and we don't have to be on call 24/7 anymore, or we sell it and we do something else. So, and it's something very weird in this industry. Once you get into it, everybody has like a love-hate relationship. Once you get in, it's very hard to get out. We love it, but we also hate it sometimes. I absolutely love it. I saw so much potential. Yeah, it was the years that Airbnb was really exploding. So we decided to grow. Right now, we manage 450 properties in 3 exotic destinations. We started in Orlando, and we now also manage homes in Aruba and since September in Miami.
Of the Accommodation Show in the past. I think most of you have been guests, apart from Alex and Richie. Richie hasn't been a guest yet, but Dennis, the thing that I love about you, one is, once again, you're giving and that sort of thing. But if anyone wants to look at branding and a really great company brand, there's nothing like Dennis's brand. It's just so pink, you can't forget it. If he's in a photo, you can't miss him. If you the video that you put up last week of you and your team, I don't know if you were in that room, but there was people dancing as part of your team in terms of culture and that sort of thing. It's exceptional. It's just you are emotionally connected with your brand, even though I don't know you guys or anything like that. So congratulations. And I like that video. Were you in that video?
Luckily, I wasn't. I'm not that of a good dancer, so no, I spared you that one. But it's true, and it's actually not something that we set up initially. It happened mainly organically, but it is really part of our DNA or of our core. I see Michael here on the call too. He's sitting at home at almost 8 o'clock and he's still wearing his Casiola polo. Not because I told him to, because I didn't even know he was going to be here. but it's just what we do, and yeah, love it. That's what I love the most about running businesses, is building that culture, the company, the people. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, awesome. Look, thank you everyone for coming and attending. Just for those of you that haven't met me before, I'm Bart Sobies. I run the Accommodation Show. I also run iBooked.Online. We are direct booking experts. So if you need a new book direct website, you talk to us. We're based out of Australia, but most of our customers are in the USA. And that's why I'm putting together this session and bringing all these people together. You can follow us. You can jump onto Facebook. We've got a sizable Facebook group as well, where you can keep in touch and get all sorts of information. But I want to focus more on the talented people in the room around me than myself. So folks, I did a poll before we started this session, and there's a few key topics that we're going to cover today, and I'm going to run through them right now. So one of them is guest experience, technology, marketing, and business growth. Then we've got regulations as well. So technology, marketing, business growth, and guest experience. Just in the chat, what is your number one that you would like to hear about first? So it was technology, marketing, guest experience, business growth. What is the number one most hot topic that you would like to hear our panelists talk about? So I'll go through it again. Guest experience, technology, marketing, or business growth. Guest experience. Keep on giving it to us. What else, folks?
It has 100% of the votes, so we should.
Yeah, that's right.
Business growth. There we go.
Yeah,
folks. The number one requested thing was actually guest experience.
No, not anymore, Bart. Wait, we got more votes.
On the polls that I did, technology was actually the number one. Then it was guest experience, business growth, and then marketing was actually at the bottom, which I found quite interesting. And then regulation just kind of didn't even make the cut. No one wants to talk about it. But what I'm going to do for you guys, rather than me sort of kind of asking each of you questions, I want you to pick up the mic and say, hey, I've got something that I want to add. We'll spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes on each question, each topic, and then we'll move on to the next topic going through. So really, this is up to you guys to direct it how you want, but I'll be here to sort of go, hey, let's move on, or, you know, we've already been through this, so let's keep it going. But what I think, growth, I love it. So what I think I would like to start off with is guest experience. Now, guest experience is incredibly important, especially in short-term rentals. Guest experience has been something which is incredibly important for hospitality overall. We need to make sure that our guests are happy, and if they're happy, they're going to come back. And it also allows us to differentiate ourselves as a short-term rental brand. If we have a great experience, then we can have a better experience than one of our competitors. And as short-term rentals get more and more competitive, us providing an exceptional guest experience becomes more important. And what gives us 5-star reviews, and what gets us as a what's it called, a pro host on Airbnb and that sort of thing. Now, for guest experience in 2023, how important is it going to be in comparison with last year to get it right?
I think it's not going to be more important than last year to get it right. It's always important. What we have noticed is things have changed. There's like a pre-COVID era and a post-COVID era, and that is, yeah, very interesting to see. People want things quicker, want responses on chat channels, WhatsApp, Messenger, text. Before it was mainly phone. That's a channel that we almost don't use anymore. We still use it, but it's a very small percentage. People are a little bit more on edge. I don't know, maybe we all have been at home too long and not been socializing enough anymore, but a lot less patient and forgiving than they were pre-COVID. So we need to be on top of our game for sure. I think talking about guest experience too, looking at the future, I think cancellation policies is something that we all should look at. Times are uncertain. They have been uncertain for a while, but you see a lot of job losses in the US at least. People do not know, are they going to have a job 3-4 months from now? So just by hearing that day after day in the news, they think twice about booking a vacation far in the future. So I think you should definitely look at your cancellation policies. If your bookings are slow, try to lower them. I also know that all channels give higher rankings if you have a more flexible cancellation policy, especially Airbnb makes a huge difference if you have a strict policy compared to the flexible one. Your ranking and your views are day and night different. So those are a couple of things that we all should definitely look into.
Can I jump in real quick? I think that guest, and I agree with you, Dennis, that guest experience, I think it's always important. I think it's going to become more important. And I think in 2023, anybody who focuses on it more is going to see more growth, because Airbnb is continuing to get a bad rap. I literally had 3 people last night send screenshots of Airbnb on Tucker Carlson on Fox News about how Airbnb is like North Korea with their policies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is starting to spread like wildfire, that all the things that we've known about Airbnb and how challenging they are to work with, this is now becoming a consumer facing problem. And so when you look at what we're able to provide as property managers, let's solve that problem. Let's make it easy. I mean, make it easy for guests, and not only make it easy for guests. I mean, you have to make it easy on your own channels, but then you also have to drive people to your own channels. And, you know, I thought it was interesting, Bart, you said that marketing was at the bottom of the list of interest. Marketing should be at the top of everybody's list of interest right now, because this is the year that you will be able to grow market share with, I mean, if there's negative connotation in the news from a guest perspective, not just from all of us that have been upset about Airbnb, this is the year to be pushing your own book direct brands. And, you know, I mean, you have to build your own book direct strategy. You have to build those relationships with your CVBs and your tourism boards, and find ways to leverage. Just, I mean, if you're a small company, obviously you don't have a multi-million-dollar marketing budget, but find ways to leverage within your community, whether it's other companies you can partner with, working with your competitors actually is a great strategy that we've found in the Myrtle Beach market. There's ways to do that, but I think guest experience, it all wraps in that this is the year to focus on your marketing, focus on the guest experience, the communication strategy, and get those guests. Let's get them off Airbnb and get them to start realizing that they can book directly with our companies.
To add to this, I'm going to ask another question around this guest experience part.
I'll just add to that. And obviously what Alex and Dennis shared, I think is super important. The other thing I think is kind of the elephant in the room, where so many property owners or property managers are looking at empty booking calendars and they're wondering what on earth is going on. To Dennis's point, maybe travel booking trends are changing, where folks aren't booking as far in advance. But I think if you lean into guest experience, your booking calendar will stay much more full than others who don't. So I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that by having a key focus on your guests, knowing your guests through and through, anticipating their needs, doing something that wows your guests is going to serve you well, not only with a fuller booking calendar, but with increased direct bookings by word of mouth referrals. So I think guest experience is even more important now than ever, in my opinion.
Questions for all of you, and I just picking your brains is just so much fun. It really is. One of the big problems that a lot of property management companies have, especially when you start to get to scale, you can get to 10 properties, 20 properties, 30 properties, then you get to 500. Casago, I don't even know how many is on your books at the moment, but consistency of guest experience can be super difficult to achieve because you've got so many different moving parts. If you've got a hotel, generally you've got all the rooms together, you've got some staff members that are running around and doing whatever they're doing. You can meet everyone in the morning and you're good to go. With property management, you can barely ever achieve that. How do we ensure that we achieve a consistent guest experience. What are our thoughts?
So what we have done at Casiola is we brought a certain level of standardization into our properties so that guests, every home that we have is unique. We don't have two homes that are alike, but there's a couple of basic items that you're going to find in every single Casiola vacation homes. One of them is like bedding. When I came from Europe to the US, I couldn't believe what I saw. Comforters is something that we don't know. I've never seen it in real life, only in the movies. And then you came here in the US and every single home had comforters. People take it off the bed, throw it on the floor, stand on it. And then when housekeeping comes in after the guest checks out, they put it back on the bed and they're done making the bed. So we went to hotel linen, external laundry. We have a certain set of basic requirements in all the kitchens. We provide a starter kit for our guests with certain amount of toilet paper, shampoos that is just more than what you basically get in most of the other vacation rentals. But those items are exactly the same everywhere. So you know, whatever vacation home from Casiola you book, you have the basics covered in order to create that consistent guest experience.
I also think, Bart, in my opinion, having checks and balances in place in your standard operating procedures is critical to build consistency in your brand. So, a lot of individual owners are relying on their cleaners to do so many things, and our cleaners and turnover teams are critically important to our business. But what I see happening a lot of times is that owners just say, oh, okay, the cleaner said everything was good. All right, awesome. It must be perfect, without any checks and balances. So I think having an additional layer or tier of inspection to really control your quality and again, have a consistent experience for your guest is really, really tied to the way that you're operating your business and your SOPs. So for me, at least, I know that quality control inspection role in my business has been critical to help build that consistency.
Yeah, just kind of echoing what Stacey said there. I like those SOPs and those standards are so important. I had the pleasure of actually touring Casago's corporate headquarters in Scottsdale, and the amount of systems and processes they put in place. I mean, that's the only way you can scale to, like they have over 3,500 properties, and now why they're turning this into more of a franchise model. And it's just, that's the only way you're going to be able to scale. And I love that model. I love what they've done. Just to plug Alex here a little bit, but they've done an incredible job, and highly recommend kind of their franchise system. Another thing, just kind of, I'll go on a complete tangent here a little bit though, is just hiring good people. It is amazing how the talent stack that you have and the good people that you have on your team, how important it is. And I've been preaching this since I've started Vintory. I've been using psychometric personality profiling systems like Culture Index and Predictive Index. And it really does help kind of create when you get the right people on the bus and in the right seats.
I agree with you on that one, Brooke. But on the other hand, it's very hard to get good frontline workers. It's another thing for the kind of positions that you are looking for. Our office positions, we also use Predictive Index, and it's important to find the right people. The frontline workers, we almost need to get whatever walks through the door, because from 10 interviews that have been scheduled, 9 of them don't even show up on the day of the interviews. So it makes it really challenging, and that has been our biggest struggle, I think, in the last 2 years.
That's one thing. I just had a long conversation with some operators here in Myrtle Beach about that. We as a destination and destinations across the country are hiring people at a very senior role to come in as workforce development agents, and really giving them a task that I don't think that anybody can figure out. I mean, or not that they can't figure out, but it's not solvable. I mean, our world has changed so much in the last few years that especially, I mean, Dennis, the people that you're talking about hiring, a lot of that workforce disappeared because of being able to work from home. I mean, hearing this directly, I mean, a lot of people, they're going and they're doing DoorDash, they're doing Uber Eats, like they're doing things where they don't necessarily want to drive Uber, but like they don't mind going and driving food around, and they're ending up making more money doing that than they were doing in housekeeping or maid service or maintenance, working in hospitality. And that's not something that any of us can overcome. That's not going to change. I mean, technology is going to continue to be the wave of the future. And until we can find robots or something to clean the rooms, I don't know what we're going to do on that. It's not about the benefits to stay at home. These people are working and they're making money. They're just making money in other ways.
Has that, just for my understanding, and because you guys are in markets, has that eased out in the last quarter or two, like being able to hire the frontline workers, or not really? It's still the same challenge.
No, I mean, there was a difference when, you know, some of the government benefits went away, but I mean, that was a while ago. So things have not changed. I mean, and really, you know, what we're hearing is that it doesn't matter how much you pay people. Like that the work of front lines is really hard work. But when that was the only work that people could find, then it was good work. But now if you're getting paid way more to stay at home, why would you go and clean rooms? I mean, it's a tough paradox for hospitality just in general. I mean, and really for hotels, I think it's a bigger issue, and bigger management companies. I mean, at scale, this becomes a really big issue.
Just the USA, it's everywhere that's having sort of staffing issues and staffing problems. And I think that really it reinforces your point, Brooke, is that actually those people that you're getting on are just more critical than ever. Like, you need to make sure that you've got a good team. Whether they're available or not is an issue that we need to keep on working on. And definitely, if you think about 2023, it's an issue that has to be thought about, resolved, worked on, better systems, processes, better ways to retain staff, better ways to encourage staff to come to you, better ways of seeking out staff, and potentially enticing remuneration packages that really work within the business model. So potentially the business models have to change a bit to allow for having to pay people more. So good one. So I'm going to keep moving on to our next topic for today. We're going to jump into technology, because I don't know if you noticed, we're kind of on the edge of it anyway with this conversation. And obviously technology is changing the world. Richie's at the forefront of having developed technology for pricing. Brooke is developing technology for getting new listings on board. The role that technology plays in our space is incredibly important, and that's across all industries regardless. But if we were to dissect it a little bit, and if you were to think about what your predictions are for the advent of how critical the tech stack will be in 2023, are there any kind of obvious changes? And I know I'm kind of leaning towards ChatGPT, but are there, AI, right? So AI wasn't a thing before. Now it is a thing. How much of a change is technology going to bring to our businesses in short-term rentals for 2023?
I think it's going to be pervasive, right? And it's not stopping. It is going to grow. It has grown leaps and bounds, the use of technology over the last couple of years, and that's really the result of two things here, right? One, all of us are getting more and more comfortable with technology, right? So if you think about maybe 2 decades ago, and if you not even 2 decades, right? 15 years ago, none of us had a smartphone in our hands, right? Today, we have one of the most powerful devices in our hand, if you think of it from that perspective, right? It's only 15 years old. So kudos to everyone who's already adopted technology, but think of it as it's only 15 years old, right? Think of it, it's like a teenager right now in terms of technology adoption, right? But having said that, it's moving at such a pace that it is going to get more and more pervasive. ChatGPT, I think it's crazy if you think of it as artificial intelligence, what it can do, but not just what it can do, how much adoption it's seen. I think I read a number which said 100 million in just under a month or month and a half. 100 million people have access to ChatGPT, right? So that's like that kind of it's the fastest growing software ever in terms of 1.5 months. 100 million people have accessed it, right? That's crazy. So coming back, so that's number one. Technology is becoming easier. You have access to all of these things, right? And then number two, all of us are building this affinity with technology. So we're getting more and more comfortable with being able to say, yes, I can trust a system, I can trust automation, right? And so a combination of that allows you to allows this technology wave to continue, and it will continue. What it does allow, whether that's ChatGPT, whether that's PriceLabs, whether that's Brooks software, whether that's other softwares, right? It allows you to eventually save a lot of time in every single regard, and that time, like time, is the most valuable asset that a human, a business, a company has, and so it allows you to scale in whichever way, whether that's Dennis acquiring 500 more properties, or whether that's someone spending time with your family and friends, but it allows you to scale. So I think technology is going to be pervasive. It's easier to use. We're getting more comfortable with it. That is going to further drive adoption. As people adopt it, it's going to save you time, which is going to further keep creating this flywheel.
I agree with Richie on that. And just to get back to ChatGPT, I also think there's the other side that we have to think about. So it's going to be a time saver, unbelievable for a lot of people. But on the other hand, if you're creating content, there's going to be just the floodgates are going to open with content in the next few years. Everybody's going to make artificial intelligent movies and clips on YouTube, and it's going to be harder and harder, I think, to stand out in the mass content creation. So you're going to have to think about how are we going to do this. SEO is going to change completely in the next year or two. Everything that we have been working on for all those years to rank in Google, it's going to go out the window, because now every single individual owner or every property manager can just push out content automatically at rates that have never been seen before, or that were not cost effective before. So yeah, it's something that we are thinking about now already, like what do we need to do to keep our rankings and to stand out in that overflow on information that we're going to see in the next few years.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Alex.
No, Brooke, you go.
There was Mark Andreessen, one of the co-founders of Andreessen Horowitz, one of the top VC firms in Silicon Valley. He wrote an article 10 years ago. It said software is eating the world. And he said in the future, there will not be software companies and non-software companies. Every company will be a software company. Well, guess what? It's coming to light. And yes, obviously you still need cleaners. You still need maintenance people and things like that. But just look at how the tech stack has changed for professional vacation rental management companies. I mean, how many subscription-based software companies does the average vacation rental management company use right now? It's insane. Where if you look, 3, 4, 5, even 10 years ago, whatever it was, you barely had anything. But going back to kind of then the ChatGPT conversation, like this is probably one of the biggest game changers our industry will ever see over like the next decade. To me, it's as big as the internet, and it's as big as the mobile phone. I actually wrote a blog a couple of weeks ago about how I actually went through. I spent a Saturday morning, I spent an hour, and I said, you know what? I want to see if I can build all the key fundamentals of starting my own short-term vacation rental management company. And I had a goal to do it in under an hour. And guess what? I was able to do almost everything. I was able to figure out how to get the licensing set up, it actually wrote the operating agreement between my fictitious business partner of mine that had 49% equity. It wrote employment agreements. It wrote the management contract. It wrote the rental agreement with a guest. It wrote all the copy for the website. It wrote all the owner acquisition strategies. I mean, and it's mind boggling to see. Here's the scariest part. We're only in like ChatGPT 3.0. ChatGPT 4.0 is coming out in the next, they say probably next 3-4 months. And it's 575 times more powerful. I mean, so we're not even in the early innings. We're like the first at bat. So, I mean, it's just getting started. And this is just one form of AI. So the entire landscape is going to change over the next couple of years here for sure.
I was just going to say, I think it's really easy to jump on the newest, brightest, shiniest thing. But I think at the end of the day, it's still really important to remember the fundamentals of marketing and branding and business building, that those transcend any generational thing that's going on. And I mean, this is crazy to think that all this time that we've spent hiring copywriters and doing content is essentially this could just be done by a machine. But at the same time, I mean, the long-term ramifications of that, we don't know what Google is going to prioritize in that. I can't imagine that Google's going to prioritize that content in the long run. I mean, it doesn't, I mean, maybe they will. I think there'll be a lot of manipulations to it. But what we do know and what we have heard is that, I mean, true user-generated photos, those are something that you can't recreate photos. I mean, that's why, iStock and Shutterstock is only as good as it is because somebody else can go out and use that. But when you have your own user-generated content, that is really huge in building a brand. And I know in my past history, that has been a massive part of it. I mean, building your brand is about giving legs to the people that are part of your brand, and your brand is also your guests, your homeowners. Let them tell your story. When you get them involved in it and they have that buy-in and they're sharing their stories, their personal content, not AI driven, their personal photos, that's what speaks volumes and gets you to a much larger audience than if you're trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, I keep thinking about the individual owner, someone who has one, maybe two properties, and maybe they've heard of Chat GPT, maybe they haven't, right? And so I think sometimes tech can be extremely overwhelming for folks. And so I look at tech as obviously the way of the future, but I also look at it as business opportunity for folks who can lean in and support others who are overwhelmed by the tech. And, there are so many creative ways in this industry, I believe, to have service offerings that support other people. And so I really envision with the more complex tech stacks that are coming down the pike, that there's actually business opportunity for someone to consult, to support, to help individual property owners build the best tech stack and the best brands without the overwhelm. So
we're saying they make complete sense to me, but also it's a bit terrifying, right? We're kind of saying that the whole world is going to change and it's going to get 575 times better and it's going to happen overnight, right? We're talking about a few months and then it's so overwhelming. And one of the biggest struggles that I find, even in my own business, is keeping on top of which tools are the most relevant to me. New tools are coming out all the time. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I'm kind of following people and then jumping. I don't jump too much, but sometimes you're missing out on potential opportunities because you decided on that CRM or that PMS or that particular system, and now you're stuck with it, or because you've made that decision, you stick with it. What would your advice be to people seeking out new technology for their businesses, be it for marketing, be it for guest experience, be it property management systems? Dennis, Alex, everybody, when you're thinking about technology and choosing that next supplier or looking at the next solution, are you guys using consultants to figure it out? How do you figure out where to be guided with technology? Where are you getting your information from?
We definitely don't use consultants at Casiola. I think the hardest part is not choosing what you want to use, but what you don't want to use. Because all these softwares as a service, they come with a price, and before you know it, you're giving away your whole margin on all these little tools that may be only $2-3 a property a month, but it really adds up in the end. So we try to be very careful what we select. Do we really need it? Is there any other way to do it? Also keep in mind, it's very hard for new staff members to learn 15 different software systems. So we try to use things that are as much integrated as possible. Simon Lehman made like a big chart a few weeks ago on LinkedIn where he grouped all, I think it was Wheelhouse, not Simon Lehman. Wheelhouse created that chart with all those different software systems. And I started counting all the ones that we were using, and I came out to 17 or 18 different vendors that we are using. And we're really selective. We have our own in-house development team. We build a lot of the operational stuff ourselves, and we integrate as much as possible to make it easier for our staff so they don't need to use 3-4 different tools to chat or create a work order, send the photos. So we have that all in one system. And still, even we are already using 17, 18 of these services. So if you go to these conferences and you see all those vendors there, they all have amazing tools, and I want them all, but you just can't. So you have to be very selective. What do you really need? What is going to create the most value for your business, for your owners, or for your guests?
Yeah, I echo that. And, you know, speaking from two different companies, but that were kind of aligned in the same backgrounds, at least, of being property managers, but also being very tech-enabled property managers, that it's honestly, that's Dennis hit it spot on. It is hard to decide what things are right to invest in because there are so many different things. And it sounds like it's just a little bit when it's $3 here or 1% there, but our margins do not accommodate for multiple add-ons like that. So I think trying to find a solution that bundles as much as possible is really the best way to go if you can't build it yourself. At Casago and also at Condo World, there's a lot of things that we built ourselves, and the things that we didn't build, we would leverage hosted systems. And I think there's a good benefit to that. But I mean, the increasing demands of being professional, of offering consistent service, they're not insurmountable if you have the right tools, and having the right tools, having the right systems, having them effectively put in place with the teams that can run them. That's key. I mean, that's going to be key to all the things we're talking about right now, how you grow, or how you enhance guest technology, how you increase, your brand awareness, and how you stay more profitable. I mean, you've got to have the right people, and you have to have the right mix of those systems to work together. But it's hard to do that on your own. I mean, that's definitely the challenge, unless you're a big organization.
Particular question? No, good. And look, I what I'm enjoying the most about this session is just the depth of experience that everybody has to actually add value to these questions. It's incredible. I can't explain how much I appreciate these answers, because it's blowing my mind as well as we're going. I'm going to move on to marketing, which is one of the questions that I think is super important, and then we'll finish off with business growth. I am aware that we've got 10 minutes left. For the panelists, if you do need to shoot, they just send us a message, say, hey, I've got to run. That's okay. But we're going to aim to be done in 10, 20 minutes, if that's okay with you. I know that I'm stretching a little bit, but I just, there's so much value here. So marketing is an interesting one. When we think about marketing for our businesses, there's two sort of main parts, which is one, to get more guests through the door, but also when we're marketing, we also want to get more properties signed up if we're a property manager. So there's those sorts of parts of it. I might start off with just a quick question about marketing 2023. We are quite aware of marketing ourselves on Airbnb or putting ourselves on channels like VRBO, booking.com. How important is us paying attention to marketing in 2023 as opposed to previous years?
It's quite see, when the market goes down, there's a lot of opportunities. A lot of companies are gonna cut costs, and unfortunately, marketing for many is one of the first disposable posts that they can cut from the balance sheet, I think. And that creates a lot of opportunities for other people that keep on investing in market. There's a lot less noise out there to reach your target audience. If you have the funds or you have a reserve, I would definitely say, even in a down market, keep on marketing and do as much as you can, because you're gonna get the benefits when it goes up again and everybody starts redoing it. You already are that one step ahead. So we don't have it really on our schedule to slow down marketing spend for now.
Companies that keep their
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Stacey.
No, you go. I was just going to say that I wholeheartedly agree with Dennis that it's really, really important, even in a down market, to have your brand seen and heard consistently. And again, for the large property management companies, that is a budget line item. For the individual property owner, chances are they don't have a marketing budget. So, I think it's really important to be, number one, creative in, looking at opportunities to market your business, but then also number two, making sure that you're looking at marketing as an investment and not an expense. And that can be an investment financially or an investment in your time, but it absolutely provides a return for your business. And then number three, I think it's really tough for the individual property owner to come to terms with they may not be a marketing guru, right? And so it is okay to go outside of your own household to get help. There are so many creative people that do social media, that do emails, that do, boots on the ground print. I mean, there's all different ways to market your business. Don't operate in a silo. Get help from other creative people and collaborate with them, because that can help your business tremendously, especially during a downturn. Okay, Alex, I'm so sorry to jump in on top of you.
No, and that's such a great perspective, and that's why I'm just excited to pick your brain more offline, because I think when you represent more on that side, and I'm just very interested to hear just more about it. And I think it's important to think about both sides. I mean, I come from more of the enterprise level companies, but not everybody is enterprise, right? And there's things to be learned on both sides. I know during COVID, one of the things that Myrtle Beach and our destination did extremely well, and that was more from the planning and foresight to have enough budget and reserves to be able to do this. But we did not stop marketing during the pandemic. We changed our message drastically, that it was much more about, embracing, we can't wait to see you, and sharing memories of the past, and getting people excited and having something to look forward to. But we never turned it off. And at my previous role at Condo World, we never turned that off either. And that really, that paid a lot of dividends. I mean, we took a pencil to every marketing item that we had and cut where we didn't need things, which was actually a really good exercise. We found a lot of services and things that we didn't need anymore, but we still knew we had to keep that visual presence in that brand. And I think, Stacey, even for smaller operators, there's something to be said from that you might not necessarily have a budget to go do a ton of Google ads, but you can always still be present on social media for free. And if you build up enough good, authentic, organic content, that will become viral. And that goes back to getting content from your guests, from your owners. I mean, like showing who you are. People want to see people. And, Airbnb is faceless for most of us. Like, we want to see people that are hospitality. And I think there's a lot to be said there. And don't let the economy downturn turn you away from doing those things, because this is the time actually to really focus on them.
Yeah. And I just want to add also, don't think of marketing as only social media, only online. Our shirts, every little property manager can wear a branded shirt every single day, every time they go out. If I got a call at 2 a.m. at night and I was in bed wearing a shirt before I walked into that home, if a guest needed something, I would always put on my shirt. This doesn't cost a lot. In the beginning, we just bought shirts in the store and we had a name tag on top of it. Was like a Tommy Hilfiger shirt with the same color. And we just put the name tag on top of it every single day. I was wearing it. All our staff was wearing it. Same with your vans. Make sure that you have at least a magnet or that you can wrap them. It's a one-time investment, but you're in those homes, in those communities every single day. That's the best marketing you can have, and it doesn't cost a lot of money. Every small property manager can do that, and if the economy goes down or up, doesn't matter, because you already have it, and it's so powerful.
I agree with all of you, and I think that you have to be super mindful. Like, marketing is an ongoing thing. You're kind of constantly doing, you're constantly thinking about it, you're constantly investing in it, and you just get better and better at it with time. The one thing with marketing is consistency. So you want to keep and doing the same behaviors in a much better way each time you improve on it. And then people will start to resonate with you and go, oh, cool, I can rely on this. I trust this brand. I trust these people. And that's what really builds that depth to it. I do have a question, and I'm going to ask this question. We're going to move on to the next topic. So we're going to start to try to go a little bit faster. The question from one of our guests or one of the listeners is, why do you think that short-term rentals there is this big push to book direct, whereas in other spaces such as Amazon, YouTube, Shopify, etc., folks are more comfortable operating on the platform? So basically, e-commerce versus I guess accommodation. Why are we talking more about book direct with accommodation, whilst with the other platforms it's kind of okay just to use them as a primary channel to drive your whole business?
I want to hear Brooke's answer to this one, because I think he can speak very well to it, because the product that we have that he helps people get through Vintory as inventory homeowners, it's not a commodity, but
Well, that's funny. I was actually going a different way angle. I was going more on the guest side, but I mean, for me, it's on the, I think traditionally, if you look at short-term vacation rentals, I look back, when I started 15 years ago, 16 years ago, like everyone was book direct. There wasn't really any OTAs out there. So that's the way we kind of came up. But if you look at some of these newer, platforms like Etsy and things like that, and more of the e-commerce, I guess and Amazon, like that's how they came up. It's like you always use some kind of channel to help market it. So I don't know. I think I'm a little bit more old school, and I've looked at it a little bit differently, Alex. I appreciate you thinking of me though.
So for us, we are probably a different case than most property managers. We're not part of the big book direct movement because of our market. Orlando is so competitive. We have tried every single trick in the book. And it just cost us more money to get a booking direct than getting an OTA booking. And we have like a recognizable brand, a strong brand, good online presence. For Orlando market, direct bookings is less than 5% of our overall bookings. So the top 8 OTAs, Airbnb, Verbo, Booking.com, that's where we get most of our bookings. Direct is just very, very hard, and everything that we try costs us more than the 15 to 18% that we would have to pay to OTAs. So we're not really pushing very, very hard on that. We're not spending a whole lot of money on guest marketing. We use the OTAs. So for that, it's almost risk-free. You only pay them when you get a booking. We focus almost our entire marketing budget on owner acquisition and driving owners to contact us to manage their home. And then that new inventory gets filled up through the OTAs almost. I'm not going to say by itself, but it's a lot easier and less capital intensive to fill that up than getting direct bookings.
I also think, again, just in the frame of mind of an individual property owner or someone with a handful of properties, one of the reasons why the book direct movement resonates with them is because, very candidly, Airbnb a lot of times favors guests and not the owners. And so your business tends to be at risk if you have a guest that makes a claim. Airbnb can directly impact your bank account very quickly. I think there was also a lot of trust lost, when COVID occurred and, bookings were canceled and owners didn't have a say, and when people received refunds. Again, for the smaller mom and pop type of owner who may have a very small portfolio, they want to have control over their business. And so I think that book direct movement really, really resonates with them. Just my opinion.
I agree.
I want to add. Sorry. Go on,
We're
Dennis.
looking now from a standpoint from a business owner. Guests don't care about businesses. They saw what Airbnb did. And to be honest, we did exactly the same even before Airbnb started refunding guests. We were already doing it. But guests have seen them and they say, hey, Airbnb has our backs. If I book direct, I may never see my money again, or I need to get a credit and to a place that I can't make it anymore in a year from now or in the next year. So I think we as an industry, if we want to push that book direct movement, we're just going to have to do a much, much, much better job than we're doing right now. And I'm not talking about anyone specifically, but an industry. I book usually my vacation rentals. I look on Vrbo or Airbnb for a nice home. Then I try to find a property manager direct, because I actually did a booking last week. I saved $1,000 between the price on Vrbo and booking direct. But then the whole process to get booked and get the credit card in and sign a management agreement and do the ID verification, there's so many different barriers that they put up that you don't have on Airbnb. With 3 clicks on Airbnb, you can book a new stay. You don't need to enter your credit card information anymore. You don't need to add your address. You don't need to sign a management agreement. That's already done. Once you have an account, you're set up to book over and over again. None of the PMS systems right now that I know of support even Google Pay or Apple Pay. So we're asking every guest to type in their credit card numbers over and over again. Guests are not used to that anymore. If you refer to Amazon, it's in there. You already forgot about it. Just with 1 click, you do booking or you place an order for a new product. But vacation rentals, you have to fill out endless forms, sign agreements. So as long as we're going to stick with that and say, hey, we want to have control over our business, we're not going to have those direct bookings, or it's going to be a lot harder to make that shift. And I think the companies that have been booking direct, like Brooke mentioned a few years ago, that was the norm. But I think, that direction is going the other way, and it's not going to stop. Companies that do maybe now 75% of their own bookings, 5 years from now, I don't believe they're going to be even over 50%. Those snowbirds that book already right away for the next year while they're in home, they're not going to be around much longer. The new demographic, they are so used to Airbnb and Vrbo and having their accounts that you have to come up with different ways to have them booked.
Yeah, Dennis, I agree with you, but I also disagree with a couple of things. So the future, so in 5 years' time, I see a lot of hope for direct bookings. I really do. Otherwise, I'd probably shut down my business and give up, right? But that whole ID and it being a one-click process is really important. So there will be services like Google and Apple, which will facilitate that, where they've got all your details. And then it's just like, when you log in using your Google account, same stuff, it would just be the same. So you've got your ID already all sorted, and there'll be a universal database. And there are people working on that already. So that's where I see the future of that. I'm going to jump in and wrap us up, folks, because we've been here for a little bit over an hour and I want to be respectful of your time. But I am going to ask one last question. I'm going to ask each of you, and have a think about it. What are the top 3 things people can do to grow their short-term rental business in 2023? Top 3 things. You can give one, it doesn't matter, but up to 3 things that people can do to grow their short-term rental business in 2023.
All right, I'll go first. For me, of course, go figure, it's growing your inventory. There's different levers, obviously, you can change and you can pull to kind of grow your top line income. Which ends up also being your bottom line income. And the easiest lever by far, I've done a study on this, you watch my videos on YouTube, the best lever by far is inventory acquisition. It's just the greatest way to grow net worth, top line revenue. Jacoby Olin, I was on stage with him at one time. He said he did over $200 million in transactions last year. And he said that the average contract value was about $34,000 per contract. So if you go out there and grow 100 properties this year, you just build about $3.4 million in net worth. So I don't think there's a greater lever you can pull than that.
And shameless plug for Brooke. If you haven't read his book, which I've known Brooke for a long time, but I just recently ordered the book and have been reading it. And it really shows the metrics exactly in that formula. And it's super important to pay attention to that. I mean, if you've been in the business, losing one homeowner can really have drastic effects. But if you're new to it, especially as you're small and building, you've really got to keep your eye on that. And marketing is twofold, guest and homeowners. I mean, and it's very different tactics and metrics to do it. But I would say my advice for how to grow 2023, what Brooke said, and then I would say leveraging user-generated content, focusing on curating more stories from your guests, your homeowners, your investors, whichever your stakeholders may be, that you can use as your own content. Because I do think that despite Chat GPT, I think there's going to be a lot of leverage in having really truly generated content that you don't have to write yourself or take yourself.
I want to second what Brooke said. So inventory growth is the key for any property manager to grow their bottom line, I think. But secondly, also, revenue management, watching your prices. 2023 is not 2022 anymore. I don't know if we're going to see 2022 anytime soon or ever again. So if you're not constantly watching demand and prices, and you think, oh, whatever I had last year plus 5%, I think you're in for a very rude awakening in 2023. So watch your prices, provide great service, and grow your inventory.
Sending you the shirt now, Dennis. I think what Alex, Dennis, and Brooke said, inventory is the number one lever. Number two lever, I do, because we also sell pricing. Still, shameless plug, revenue management is a fantastic lever for you to pull. But overall, as a theme, I would say be more nimble. Similar to what Dennis was saying, 2022 was a different year. 2023 is going to be a very different year. Over the last 4 years, we've had quite a bit of volatility in the market. So just being nimble, whether that's about your pricing, whether that's about, like Alex was saying, adopting ChatGPT, that's what's really going to drive that growth lever. So fundamentally, we tell this to our team every single day, having that learning mindset and being nimble is what is eventually going to drive your business growth, right? And then you'd find the right answer for your business.
Love that. I'm going to give a shameless plug for PriceLabs, because not only do they make a huge difference in my own business, but PriceLabs has been a huge supporter of my community and my events. So Richie, I so appreciate you and the rest of the PriceLabs team. Really, really value what you're doing, not only for individual property managers and owners, but for the greater good of the industry. So thank you. I will just say a couple of things on behalf of anyone who's looking to purchase property. I'm going to say one of the biggest things to keep in mind in 2023 is to be creative. I think that there are going to be lots of opportunities where folks might have snatched up properties at the top of the market, and they're finding maybe they're not investing into best-in-class processes and great customer service. And this whole short-term rental thing just isn't working out for them. But yet they can't go and potentially resell it at what they've just purchased that property for. So I think that there's opportunity to do creative deals in the real estate sector there. So the key to those creative deals is understanding that there's a person and a problem behind that creative deal and knowing your market. Because when a good deal pops up, if you know your market and you know your numbers, you got to snap you got to run, run to that deal. I think the other thing too is making sure you are operating your short-term rental as a business. Again, if we're thinking about larger property managers, someone might think, of course, they're operating it like a business. And if we're thinking about individual property owners, then sometimes, there's a little bit of gray area. And so if you have 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 properties, make sure you're operating your short-term rental business as a business. And that is, you should be doing CEO level activities, leave all the day-to-day work to your team, delegate to elevate what you're doing in your business. And then last but not least, I think one of the biggest opportunities for growth is growing your network. You always hear your network is your net worth. And I am so incredibly grateful for, all the folks I have had the opportunity to have exposure to, and they make differences in my real estate deals. I mean, firsthand differences. So continue to grow your communities and your networks, and you'll grow as a business owner as well.
Yeah. Hey, Bart, can I give a quick shout out? I want to give a shout out to Richie as well at PriceLabs. I actually have a friend who has 3 identical properties, and he put them all on all the different dynamic pricing platforms that were out there. And he said by far PriceLabs crushed all the other ones, and it was the cheapest as well. So shout out to Richie and the team, and he did not pay me to say that. So
thank you so much, Brooke, Stacey. Really, really appreciate it.
You guys are awesome, and like so much value. And look, I think there we have maybe like 12 different things that people can do to increase to improve their growth in 2023. Super relevant. From my perspective, I echo pretty much every single thing that people have said, but the whole education piece, get yourself educated, learn about these things, keep on learning, because there are all these tools and all these opportunities that you might not know about. I think one of the reasons why everyone in this room is just hung around and they're pretty happy just to keep on talking is because we're learning from each other as we go. So, folks, Stacey, Brooke, Alex, Dennis, and Richie, thank you for taking your time out of your day to help people out. Thank you for participating in this event. Thank you for being part of this awesome industry. I appreciate all of you a lot. I'm hoping that we can do more of these things in the future and keep collaborating, keep sharing. I do appreciate you massively, and I think that's pretty much a wrap. And we'll catch you on another event soon.
Thank you so much for hosting this, Bart.
Yeah,
Take care, everyone.
So
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.